At 66, Magic Johnson has lived a life full of victories, battles, and unforgettable moments. But nothing prepared fans for what just happened. When the news broke, emotions ran high. Tears, shock, and disbelief flooded social media. This isn't just another headline. It's a powerful, emotional moment that's leaving people speechless. Whether you followed him for decades or just know his name, what he revealed will touch your heart in ways you didn't expect. Magic Johnson's story didn't begin under bright lights or roaring crowds. It started in a small, overcrowded house in Lansing, Michigan, where he grew up with 9 siblings. Life was tough. They didn't have much. Not space, not money, not comfort. His father, Irvin Sr., worked long, brutal shifts at the General Motors plant and still woke up before dawn to drive a garbage truck. His mother, Christine, cleaned schools until her hands were raw. Magic would later say, "I could hear my mom sigh before I saw her face." That's how tired she was. As a little boy, Magic would ride with his father on weekend trash routes. And while the metal bins were cold and heavy, the real pain came from the kids who stood on porches, laughing and calling him Trash Boy. That nickname stuck with him, not just as a memory but as a scar. He tried to brush off the garbage smell before school, but he couldn't wash away the shame. He just wanted to be invisible, to not be laughed at. He was only 7, already carrying more weight than most adults. Then came another wound, being sent to Everett High, a mostly white school, during integration. He wanted to go to a black school where he thought he'd finally belong. Instead, he found himself in a place where teammates ignored him, coaches overlooked him, and some students made it clear he didn't belong. He wasn't just lonely, he was invisible. But even then, something inside him refused to give up. While the city slept, Magic woke up at 5 a.m. to play basketball alone on the frozen outdoor courts behind his neighborhood. Michigan winters were brutal, but the court was the only place where he felt free. The court didn't care if he was poor. It didn't mock him or call him names. It gave him peace. And every insult he heard, every tear he cried, he turned into energy, into focus, into fire. His no-look passes, the ones that would later wow the world, were born in those cold mornings. Not for show, but for survival. He was building a way out, one dribble at a time. And then, one night in high school, everything changed. He scored 36 points, grabbed 18 rebounds, and had 16 assists. A local reporter saw him play and said one word, Magic. And just like that, a nickname became a destiny. But even with that name, even with the talent, it wasn't easy. He lost his best friend Reggie in a car crash just before their senior year. Reggie was the only teammate who truly believed in him from the beginning. That loss broke Magic, but it also hardened his resolve. He promised he'd keep going, for Reggie, for his family, for himself. By the time he stepped onto the court at Michigan State, he wasn't just a tall kid with skills. He was a young man forged by pain, rejection, and a hunger to prove that he mattered. And from there, the world began to notice. But everything Magic became, a champion, a legend, a symbol of greatness, was born not from glory, but from grit. By the early 1980s, Magic Johnson wasn't just a basketball player anymore. He was the face of the NBA. With his million-dollar smile, flashy passes, and joy-filled energy, he led the Los Angeles Lakers into a new era of basketball. They called it Showtime. And Magic was the reason for the name. Every time he touched the ball, fans held their breath. He could turn a simple play into something magical. He was fast, unselfish, and saw the court like no one else. He made basketball fun. At just 20 years old in his rookie season, Magic did the impossible. When Lakers star Kareem Abdul-Jabbar got injured before Game 6 of the NBA Finals in 1980, the team panicked. But Magic stepped up. He played all 5 positions that night, including center, and scored 42 points, grabbed 15 rebounds, and had 7 assists. The Lakers won the championship, and Magic became the youngest Finals MVP in NBA history. From there, his career took off like a rocket. Over the next decade, Magic would win 5 NBA championships, earn 3 MVP awards, and become a 12-time All-Star. He led the league in assists multiple times and became known as one of the greatest point guards of all time. The Lakers weren't just winning, they were changing the way people saw the game. Basketball became entertainment, and Magic was the show. But success came with pressure. Fame can be heavy, even when it looks glamorous. Behind the camera flashes and cheers, Magic was carrying a lot. There were nights when his body hurt so much from games and travel that he could barely stand up. There were moments when his smile hid exhaustion, loneliness, and the fear of letting people down. And then, everything changed. On November 7, 1991, Magic Johnson stood in front of cameras and reporters and said 12 words that stunned the entire world. "Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will retire." The room went silent. The world went silent. It was one of those moments where time freezes, not just in sports, but in history. At just 32 years old, at the top of his game, Magic announced that he was HIV positive and would be stepping away from basketball. In 1991, HIV was seen as a death sentence. There was no cure, very little understanding, and a lot of fear. People thought you could get it from a handshake, from sweat, even from sharing a basketball. It wasn't just a health crisis, it was a social one. People with HIV were treated like outcasts, and now one of the most beloved athletes in America was suddenly at the center of it all. The reaction was overwhelming. News stations stopped regular programming to cover the story. Rumors spread. Some players in the NBA said they didn't want to play with him. Others questioned if he had put people at risk. He went from being a hero to being feared, not for what he had done, but for what he had. Behind the scenes, Magic was devastated. He admitted later that he had been careless with his lifestyle. Fame brought attention, and attention brought temptation. He had lived fast, and now he was paying the price. But instead of hiding or falling apart, he made a decision. He would fight. Soon after his diagnosis, Magic began speaking publicly about HIV and AIDS. He used his fame to spread awareness, to educate people, to reduce stigma. He appeared on talk shows, held press conferences, and worked with doctors and researchers. He wanted to be a voice, not just for himself, but for everyone facing the same illness without his platform. And even though he had retired, Magic couldn't stay away from the game he loved. In 1992, he was invited to play in the NBA All-Star Game. There was controversy. Some players still didn't want him there, but he came anyway. And he didn't just play. He owned the court. He scored 25 points, dished out dazzling assists, and hit a deep three-pointer to end the game. The crowd erupted. He was named All-Star MVP. That night, Magic didn't just play basketball. He reminded the world that he was still here, still fighting, still smiling. Later that summer, he joined the legendary 1992 U.S. Olympic Dream Team, the greatest basketball team ever assembled. Alongside Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and other legends, Magic won a gold medal in Barcelona. It was more than a victory. It was a statement. HIV wasn't the end of him. Still, life wasn't easy. Even after the All-Star Game and the Olympics, the fear around HIV hadn't gone away. He tried to return to the NBA in 1992, but the concerns from players and public pressure pushed him back into retirement. In 1994, he tried coaching the Lakers, hoping to stay connected to the sport. But after just 16 games, he stepped down. It didn't feel right. The game had moved on, and he wasn't sure where he fit anymore. That time in his life was dark. He had fame, money, and history behind him, but he felt lost. Basketball had always been his escape, his purpose, his identity. Now it was gone. He faced depression, self-doubt, and fear about his future. Would he live long? Would he see his children grow up? Would the world ever accept him again? But true to his nature, Magic didn't give up. He reinvented himself. He started Magic Johnson Enterprises, a business focused on rebuilding underserved communities. He opened movie theaters in neglected neighborhoods, brought Starbucks into places corporate America ignored, and later invested in sports teams, real estate, and insurance. He proved that being HIV positive didn't mean being powerless. He wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. His return to the NBA came again in 1996. At 36 years old, he suited up for the Lakers one more time. It wasn't about championships, it was about closure. He wanted to walk off the court on his own terms. In 32 games, he showed flashes of the old Magic, the creativity, the joy, the court vision, and then he said goodbye. Not with sadness, but with pride. Since then, Magic has become more than an athlete. He's a businessman, an advocate, a husband, a father, and a living symbol of strength. He's lived with HIV for over 30 years, defying every prediction. Through strict medication, discipline, and regular checkups, he manages his health and uses his story to help others do the same. Looking back, the triumphs and the tragedies are woven together. Basketball gave him the platform, but his true greatness came from what happened after the cheers faded, from how he stood tall in the face of fear, from how he turned a diagnosis into a mission, from how he chose to keep living, learning, and giving, even when the world expected him to disappear. Magic Johnson's story is not just about winning titles. It's about choosing life when life tries to break you. It's about using your voice when silence feels safer. It's about turning your biggest challenge into your greatest purpose. And through all of it, the glory, the pain, the pressure, the illness, Magic never stopped believing that he still had something powerful to give. He didn't just change the game, he changed the world. When Magic Johnson walked away from basketball, it felt like the end of an era. The lights, the roar of the crowd, the rhythm of the game, it had been his whole life. But after his HIV diagnosis, everything changed. Suddenly, the sport that once gave him identity and purpose was no longer his home. For the first time in decades, he was left with silence, uncertainty, and a question that echoed louder than any arena ever had. Who am I without the game? At first, Magic struggled. The fame was still there. So was the money. But the meaning felt missing. Basketball had always been his engine, the thing that got him out of bed in the morning. Without it, he felt lost. People still recognized him everywhere he went, but he didn't feel like the same person anymore. He was dealing with something so much bigger than stats or trophies. He was trying to stay alive. And that kind of fight doesn't come with highlight reels. But Magic had something inside him that had always been there, even before the fame: resilience. He had carried trash with his father in freezing Michigan mornings. He had fought racism and humiliation as a teen. He had risen from pain before, and now he was ready to rise again, just in a different way. Instead of returning to the court, he stepped into boardrooms. Instead of running plays, he started running numbers. Business became his new game. He wanted to do more than just make money. He wanted to create opportunities, to give back to the same kinds of neighborhoods he grew up in, places that were overlooked, dismissed, and forgotten by big companies. He started small, investing in a movie theater in a poor area of Los Angeles. Most people thought it would fail. No one goes to the movies there, they said. But Magic didn't just see empty buildings. He saw potential. He believed that if you brought quality businesses into struggling communities, people would respond. And they did. That one theater became a chain. Then came partnerships with Starbucks, 24-Hour Fitness, and TGI Fridays. When Starbucks founder Howard Schultz asked him if opening in inner-city neighborhoods would work, Magic didn't hesitate. "You don't know my community," he said, "but I do." He poured in his own money he could have easily kept, and proved the doubters wrong. His Starbucks stores were some of the highest grossing in the country, not because of coffee, but because of what they represented: dignity, belonging, hope. It wasn't just about profits. It was personal. Magic remembered what it felt like to be unseen, unwanted. So every store he opened, every job he created, every corner he rebuilt, it was like reaching back in time and giving his younger self a hand. He wasn't just building wealth, he was building legacy. And his business success kept growing. In 2012, he became part of the ownership group that bought the Los Angeles Dodgers for nearly $2 billion. Fans cried when they saw him walk onto the field, not as a player, but as an owner, a symbol. The kid once laughed at as Trash Boy now owned part of one of the most iconic franchises in sports. Then came stakes in the WNBA's LA Sparks, the MLS team LAFC, and in 2023, the NFL's Washington Commanders, a record-breaking $6.75 billion deal. By 2025, Magic Johnson's net worth had climbed to over $1.5 billion. But for him, the number wasn't the victory. The victory was knowing he had done it his way, with integrity, with heart, and with a deep love for his community. But while his business empire was booming, something even more meaningful was happening behind the scenes. His family was growing, healing, and deepening in ways that success alone could never bring. His journey as a father had started with pain. In 1981, Magic became a father to his first son Andre with his then-girlfriend Melissa Mitchell. At the time, he was only 21 and still adjusting to the whirlwind of fame. He wasn't ready. He didn't know how to be a father. And though he loved his son, he wasn't there the way he should have been. Andre was raised by his mother, and Magic missed so many firsts. Birthdays, school plays, late-night talks. The kind of moments you don't get back. That regret stayed with him for years. It hurt in a quiet, constant way. But as Andre grew older, Magic reached out. Slowly, intentionally, they rebuilt their bond. It wasn't easy. Trust takes time. But they made it work. Today, Andre is not just his son. He's one of the top executives in Magic Johnson Enterprises, helping guide the very empire his father built. Their relationship is a symbol of second chances and proof that love, when you choose it, can heal almost anything. Then there's EJ, Magic's son with his wife Cookie. EJ was born in 1992, right in the middle of the storm of Magic's diagnosis and retirement. For years, Magic wrestled with the fear of leaving his family behind, but he lived. And he stayed. And when in 2013 EJ came out as gay, Magic faced a new challenge, one that tested not his body, but his heart. At first he was afraid, not of EJ, but for him. Magic knew what the world could be like to people who were different. He didn't want his son to feel the kind of pain he had once felt, but Cookie, steady and strong, reminded him, "This is our son. Love him first, learn him later." And Magic did. He listened. He grew. He became not just a supportive dad, but an example of what acceptance truly looks like. Their relationship is now full of pride, not just EJ's, but Magic's too. He often says, "EJ didn't just come out, he helped me grow up." And then there's Elisa, their daughter, adopted by Magic and Cookie in 1995. She brought new joy and light into their home. But in 2018, she faced a terrifying moment when armed intruders broke into a friend's house she was staying at. She had to run barefoot into the night to escape. When Magic got the call, his world stopped. It didn't matter how rich or powerful he was. In that moment, he was just a father praying his daughter would survive. She did, but that night changed him. He realized that no amount of money, no empire, no business deal could ever compare to the safety of his children. That moment reminded him what really matters. And since then, he's held his family even closer. Through all of this, the wins, the losses, the money, the fame, it's family that gave Magic's life real meaning. Cookie, the woman who stood by him through the darkest moments, remained his rock. They've been through it all: public judgment, health scares, heartbreak, joy. Their love has survived not because it's perfect, but because they keep choosing each other again and again. Now, in his mid-60s, Magic doesn't take anything for granted. He wakes up every day, takes his medication, works out, eats well, and makes sure he has time for his loved ones. He plans carefully, not just for now, but for the future, making sure Cookie and the kids will be taken care of when he's gone. He talks about generational wealth, inheritance, responsibility, not as a businessman, but as a man who knows life is fragile. Today, Magic Johnson is not just a basketball legend or a billionaire businessman. He's a man who has rebuilt himself many times over, not just after his diagnosis, but after every mistake, every loss, every challenge. He's a father who fought to reconnect, a husband who fought to stay, a leader who lifted his community as he rose. And maybe that's the greatest version of Magic of all. Not the player, not the mogul, but the man who never gave up on the people he loved and who made sure that every part of his journey meant something. Magic Johnson's story isn't just about basketball. It's not even just about beating the odds. It's about what you choose to do after life knocks you down, about how you take pain, loss, and fear, and build something bigger from it. For over 3 decades, Magic has lived with a diagnosis the world once believed no one could survive. But he didn't just survive, he built an empire. He turned his name into a brand, his pain into purpose, and his journey into a lesson for millions. Today, he's worth over $1.5 billion. He owns pieces of major sports teams. He rebuilt neighborhoods that others gave up on. And he did it all while managing HIV without letting it define him. But his legacy isn't really about wealth or trophies. It's about how he lives. Every day starts with discipline. The pill at the same time, the same routine, the same fight. He still has pain. His body still remembers the battles, on the court and off. But he keeps showing up. He keeps moving. He keeps choosing life. What's most powerful about Magic now isn't the flash. It's the quiet moments, Breakfast with Cookie, laughing with his kids, mentoring young people, supporting those who feel invisible. He's become a symbol of second chances, of strength that doesn't come from muscles, but from choices. Magic often says the real victory is living long enough to love better. And he means it. He's not trying to prove anything anymore. He's trying to pass it on. Wisdom, opportunity, hope. His life reminds us that being strong doesn't mean being untouched by pain. It means walking through it and coming out wiser. Magic made a decision long ago that fear wouldn't lead him, illness wouldn't break him, and shame wouldn't own him. That's not luck. That's courage. And maybe that's the real magic, knowing that true power isn't what you have, but how you rise again and again.